Hey, shalom, shalom. It's your brother Ratazar Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakach Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, blessings to the hopeful, sincere elect. So, I'm going to do a quick update. You got these No King protests coming in the next couple of days. Saturday, actually, June the 14th. Day that brother usually go out to the camp and prophesy, sitting on the highways and hedges. So brothers definitely got to be mindful on that day because there's supposed to be a spout of protests, which is organised protests, so to speak. That's definitely going to be turn violent or go left, so to speak, by these agent provocateurs and so on and so forth. These shills of the wicked elite, because they're going to use these protests and such as these natures like the LA riots right now as a guise for them to bring in more draconian, austere measures, curfews, so on and so forth, and ultimately bringing that new dystopian world order, man, where they want everyone C-hipped and then put on a grid, an AI centralized database grid to be tracked and traced, man, and then everyone's gonna have to get that C-hip, which is gonna be ultimately the capstone, putting the final pyramid on the capstone of the wicked elite's New World Order agenda. The so-called enlightened ones, as they call themselves, the Illuminati. So this is definitely an eye opener. This is no coinky dink. You're having all these protests right now breaking out in New York, different states, but mainly over there. They're concentrating on the LA riots, and this is definitely going to add more fuel to the fire. As people are already getting upset and tired, as it tells you in the book of Proverbs 29, when the wicked beareth all the people mourn. And what do people do when they mourn and in the state of anger? They riot. They become seditious, man. They rise up against their authority, so to speak, man, which that goes into the word sedition. Trying to go to the king's tower, so to speak, seeking justice. So this is a protest that they got, no king's protest, proving also that your guy Caesar Trump is actually a king, man, because the word Caesar in the Latin just means king anyway. Just like you had in the Russian, they called him Tsar, like you had Tsar Nicholas II. The word Tsar in Russian just means king. So that's what the word Caesar means, like Caesar Julius or Julius Caesar. It means king. So this guy Trump is in fact a king over America, man. That's why apostles and elders of Great Millstone been saying, which is proven in the scriptures, he is that fierce king, and a cruel lord. And he is the king of Babylon right now. There ain't no president of Babylon, or whatever you want to call it. The word is king. He is a Caesar. Caesar Trump, aka Caesar Nero, coming back in the reincarnation. Because like Apostle Elder Tahar says, he thinks and acts and portrays himself as a king. Like he just basically disregards all government officials and government laws, and bypasses Congress to establish his own wicked agenda. But really, he's working for the elites. As I said, he's a puppet. But showing you that he moves with the authorization as a king. He doesn't move as someone that's part of a senate. So that was supposed to be the difference between the fourth beast and the other beasts written of in Daniel's the second chapter, in regards to America being set up as a senate and a political party. But Esau's mindset is that he's still a king over the earth, and even before him, you got the real true kings, the underground kings, I call them, the ones behind the closed doors, the shadow government. Starting with the wicked elite, the 1%, the oligarchs of society, the banking elite. They liken themselves onto kings. They're the real underground kings of this whole society, man. The ones that you don't talk about, the banking elite families, the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, so on and so forth. Hiding behind closed doors, but they're being revealed. So it says there's going to be anti-Trump protests planned across the US. No Kings protests will take place on June the 14th, on Trump's birthday, supposedly. And I just wanted to show this map here, of all the protests that's going to be taking place, basically covering the whole of North America, all 50 states. So, brothers definitely got to be mindful, man. It's definitely going to be a hot summer, looking like, which is beautiful, which is not another step closer to the destruction for Babylon the Great. And this is from the Economic Times. It says no king's protest near me on June 14th against Trump. Street closures, areas to avoid, and possible curfews. Yeah, like they got a curfew over there in LA right now. People have to be off the streets by a certain time. I think it's like 8 o'clock, and they're going to come back on the streets the following day around 6 a.m. So these curfews are going to be instituted, man, more and more as these more seditious and more violent protests take place. The whole of LA, that part of LA has just been ransacked and looted. And, Esau's got his forces out there, but they're going to be spread thin if it goes across the whole 50 states. Them armies are going to be spread thin, man. The troops, then the militarized police, and they're going to have to call in more of them armed forces to basically come and restore order, so to speak, man, because this shit looks like it's going to be spreading nationwide for real. This is a synopsis. Nationwide protests are planned for Saturday, June 14th, as part of the No Kings movement, opposing rising authoritism. I'm just trying to word it out. Salakia. Authorizisms, if I can say it like that. It says in response to the President Trump's military parade. It says the protests are aimed to reject political violence and demonstrate democracy, with events scheduled all across 50 states, which you all know that so-called peaceful protests all turn out to be more violent than anything else, because Esau's going to use this as a weapon, as a tool to cause all the chaos scenarios, man, because you need chaos in the streets. And what better than having a parade all throughout the whole 50 states where people are going to be protesting, so to speak, and then it turns, shit goes left, and there's more fires and people breaking into things and looting and shooting and polluting up the place than expected. This is what Esau needs, man. This is the perfect opportunity. And as I said in the last previous sit down, these devils never, like the elites say, they never let a crisis go to waste. So it's supposed to be coordinated, but we all know this is of the works of the wicked elite. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices, pursuant to 2 Corinthians 2:11. So yeah, this guy King Trump, man, he's causing the ruckus, man, in America, man. He is definitely the king of Babylon, and America's not going to be healed again. America's going to go into perdition, which the Lord set out to go into from the beginning. The 8th head that should go into perdition, man. So I just got 2 precepts I'm going to read and I'll close out. I won't make it too long. But Ecclesiastes 3, and I'll start from verse 6. It says, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend, a time to sue. It says a time to keep silence and a time to speak. It says a time to love, a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. So if you don't know the time that you're living in right now, pursuant to this map right here, if you don't understand that we're in a time of straight up sedition and war and love of many waxing cold, then you need your head re-examined, man, because it's going to get very thick out here in these streets, man, in these last days, and more violent and more heartless, lawless behavior is going to ensue more than ever, because Esau's given them basically the legal powers to do so, man. He's organising these protests, which is basically just going to give people an advantage or an excuse to go out there and riot and just, mistreat and do lewdness and, create chaos. And then he's going to try and restore the order, so to speak. So we already know this is all organised chaos from the wicked hand on the left-hand side of the wicked elite. But it's all through the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua anyways, using the wicked elite to destroy their own empire, man. Because Esau is the sword on the left-hand side of the Lord. This is Psalm 17. So the Lord's using Esau to his benefit, his blessing, basically, ultimately. So we're in that time, man. So this is Luke 21:10. It says things to come, which means what? Prophecies being fulfilled. Even to this day, man. We're still waiting for these last major prophecies. Jacob's trouble, the mark of the beast, the hour of temptation, and ultimately what? World War III. Which is in turn going to bring in the second coming, the advent of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. And he's going to deliver the elect and destroy the kings of the earth and enslave them, And even that, it says in Revelations 19, that it took all the king's crowns, showing you that all these so-called leaders world leaders, they're all kings, especially Babylon, aka America. The king of Babylon right now is Caesar Trump, aka Nero. And he's coming to dethrone that devil when he comes back in the fathership, you know, very soon. So, watch this space, as they say, literally. It says Luke 21:10. It says things to come. It says, then said he unto them, this is Yahweh Shai speaking. It says, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Plain and simple, to the point. And these are part of the signs, the tokens that the Lord said are going to be shown in these last days to show what time we're in, man. That all hell is about to break loose before the Lord even comes. That's why it says also in Luke, that what will I if the fire be already kindled? He's come to set fire on the earth, but what will he if the fire be already kindled, man? Because things are going to be out of order. All hell is literally going to be breaking loose. It's going to be so much mayhem and disorder that the Lord's going to have to intervene by way of the angels, Michael the archangel and so on and so forth, for the elect's sake, because it's going to get that chaotic out here, that lawless, that bloody and gory in these streets. I mean, they're just about to release that new movie, 20 or 21 days or 21 years later, the series of the 21 days and 21 weeks. And now you got 21 years later, and that's supposed to be a straight up zombie, Resident Evil type movie. But really, it's just showing you the people in the dead state, zombified state. Spiritually, they're dead from the neck up, and that everyone's just going to be losing their minds. It's just going to be straight up chaos. And the people just going to be out there for themselves, man. It's going to be so lawless. You can only express it in words, man. So many words, but to see it actually in vision, man, it's going to be so crazy, man. Like a live, living horror movie in your local towns and centers, man. You're gonna actually be living through these times, man. Worse than any other time in the earth, pursuant to Daniel 12th chapter. So yeah, this is a quick one, man. I don't want to make this too long. I just want to highlight that fact about the map, man, and these protests that are coming. So brothers got to be wise, serpent and harmless as a dove, and be circumspect, because Esau is definitely going to be using this as opportunities to arrest people and hem people up, take people off the streets, so to speak. So I know brothers, in different areas and all that, they're going to be mindful of where they're preaching the word and so on and so forth, but definitely not going to avoid where these protests are taking place. Planned protests, man. See, Esau's the devil. He's like Satan, spiritual demon. Satan's like a devouring lion. So definitely got to be vigilant in these last days. So anyway, with that, I want to close out, give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Hodash, and Shalom to the hopeful and sincere elect.